I gotta.
Welcome. It's another week. We are back for another episode. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another week. We have some fire for you guys. This is going to be a good episode. Lots happened this past week and we will talk about it. There is an elephant in the room and I feel like it's only necessary that this show addresses it. This show doesn't shy away from talking about difficult subjects, so this episode will be no different. If you guys are new to the show, Dante, my co-host, and we talk about things that make you uncomfortable. We talk about things relating to pop culture, entertainment, politics, music, and we have an interesting discussion every single time. This podcast is not for everybody. It's for anybody. So anybody that's willing to give an open ear to some open conversations from two people that come from different perspectives, this show is for you. It's always fun for me. Dante, it's been a rough week. How are you?
You know, all things considered, I feel pretty good. Exfoliated the skin today. So feel real good there. You know, you gotta protect your mentals and your and your vibes, you know, and that includes great skincare routines. So if y'all have any cool skincare routines, let us know because I'm very interested in that. But yeah, taking care of the skin, taking care of the mentals. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's another week, another shooting. I'm just tired, to be honest. That's how I'm feeling. I'm not going to lie and say, yeah, feeling great. I'm not feeling great. I'm just tired. I heard there was another shooting today, I think in Colorado. So I'm just exhausted mentally. People coming at me, trying to get a reaction out of me. I'm tired of it. You're not going to get that energy from me. I'm past that stage in my life where I have trigger fingers, and if you say something to me, I'm going to respond back with a snappy response. I'll just ignore you, to be honest. I'm at that point in my life right now. I don't know if you can relate.
Oh my God. I can definitely relate with what you just said about like, hey man, you don't even warrant a response from me. You don't deserve a response from me. Like in your universe, in your world, you might matter a lot, but in mine, you are insignificant. You're an inanimate object. You're the light switch or something. Even the light switch has more value than you, but like, you know what I mean? Like you're just there. You don't exist unless I want you to exist. And that actually ties into my Off My Chest this week.
That's a perfect segue to Off My Chest. But before we get into Off My Chest, I just want to say, if you guys love the show and after hearing this, you want to support it in some way, feel free to follow us on Instagram, subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you choose to listen. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And also we have an anonymous thing. So if you guys click the link in the description of this episode, you guys can send us an anonymous question. So if you guys want to send us something, ask us a question that you want answered on the show, if you want advice, if you want to read off a scenario and ask us how we would react to that certain situation, ask away. Dante and I love questions from you guys, and soon we will answer all of your questions. So if you've been sending stuff in, both of us have seen it and we will answer it in a future episode. So we have seen it. Don't think that we don't want to answer your question, but I want to thank you guys for listening. Whatever reason that y'all decide to listen every week, it means a lot to both of us. I feel comfortable speaking for Dante as well. We love you guys. So continue to support the show and we'll continue to crank out these episodes for you guys.
For free 99, baby.
But with that being said, let's transition into Off My Chest.
Justin's gotta get off his chest. Dante has got to get off his chest. Justin and Dante gotta get it off their chest.
All right. Dante, did you want to go first?
You know, I can go first. So, actually earlier today, having a conversation with somebody I talk to probably 3-4 times a week. Y'all know him as Enrique Escobar. I know him as my brother, Quan. And we were talking about something about social media. And, he's into the Marvel universe and DC and all that stuff. Me personally, I'm not. I don't believe in fantasy. But that's, we've talked about that on here before. But I said, social media is like your own Marvel universe. You control the narrative there. Nobody exists unless you want them to exist. People should use that logic and apply it to their real life. I saw this quote on Twitter where somebody said, I block, mute, and unfollow people in real life too. This is my world. You only exist if I want you to. And that is the God's honest truth. You have to do what you got to do to protect yourself, protect your mentals, protect your well-being, and watch the spirit and energy and vibes around you. And if you're having a hard time grasping that, you need to ask yourself why you're letting things exist. And that's off my chest.
Ooh, I like that. I like that off my chest. I think that's relatable to anybody. I think that, like you said, social media is a microcosm of real life. The people that you follow are the people that you're interested in, the people that you care about, or at least that's what it should be. The same way that I don't, mess with people in real life is the same way I operate when it comes to social media. So if I don't like you, I'll unfollow you, mute, block, and I won't think twice about it because I protect my peace. Speaking of what I'm going to get into for my off my chest, I protect my peace in real life, and I also protect my peace on social media. If I want positive vibes in real life, the same should apply to social media as well. I only want to see good things. So if you have something negative to bring to my life, nah, I'm not here for that. So I'll block and mute you and unfollow you, and I don't care. And everybody else should apply that to their own lives, because why let negative energy into your life?
I always say, like Justice said, if it does not serve me mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, it ain't meant for me, and it don't got no place in my fucking life. Positive vibes only, guys.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. So that actually transitions into my off my chest. So off my chest this week, protect your peace. Protect your peace. I haven't been tried in a long time, and these last couple of days, people have been wanting to try me. I don't know why. For any of you guys that don't know me in real life, I'm a nice guy. I'm not engaged in drama. If you exude positive energy, positive things are going to come back into your own life. When you exude negative energy, what do you think is going to come into your life? So I don't get why there's certain people that will reply to my stuff and want to antagonize me. We'll talk about this more in detail. But like I was saying earlier, I don't let stuff like that bother me. If you're going to say something and try to get under my skin, you're going to feel stupid because I'm not going to respond to you. I have friends, I have people that I know that if somebody comes at them sideways, they're going to respond. They're going to engage in a useless back and forth where y'all are never going to reach, a conclusion. And I think that's a waste of time. Time is already precious enough. So I'm not going to use my time to argue back and forth with somebody. And especially when it's somebody that I'm not going to change their mind. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's smart. And I don't think that goes with protecting your peace. Protecting your peace is all about not letting that stuff bother you. So if you're trying to get at me sideways, enjoy just looking at your response, because you're not going to get one from me. And that's what I need to get off my chest.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Listen, what's that? You know the song? I'm living my best life. I ain't going back and forth with you. Listen, I ain't going back and forth with nobody. I'll be the first person to tell you. And anybody that know me know that's the truth. I ain't going back and forth with you. I'll be like, hey, you got it. It ain't that deep for me, Chief. You keep it pushing.
Exactly.
So no, I'm with you 100%. And like I said at the beginning of the year, when we started cranking out episodes for y'all, I've grown a lot, right? And I used to say, instead of saying fuck you about people or two people, I'd be like, hey, God bless you. But then I refrained from that. I had to take a step back because I ain't wishing good vibes and positivity on nobody that don't deserve it. So going along with what Justin just said, I hope that you get out of this life whatever you put into it. If you put negative shit into the world, I hope that's what you get back tenfold. If you're a good person, you put positive shit into the universe, I hope you get that back tenfold. Listen, positive vibes ain't charity, and we ain't just handing it out for free.
That's true. And I don't know, I feel like if anybody does want to come for me or fight me in any way, I'm probably the worst person to fight because I don't give anybody anything. I'll let somebody type up a whole book, a whole novel, a whole paragraph. I'll read it, but I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to give you the attention that you want. Enjoy typing those paragraphs because you're only doing it for you, because it doesn't have any effect on me. So if anybody does want to fight with me, I'm not the one. I don't engage back. I really don't. And I don't care. So say whatever you want. And that's why if I was ever famous or a celebrity, y'all can comment whatever y'all want in my mentions or in my comments. I'm not reading that. And actually, I'm going to take a book out of Taylor Swift's page and just disable my comments on Instagram entirely. A couple years ago, she was getting bullied by all the Kim Kardashian stans and stuff. And she said, hey, I'm not going to let my social media be a space for negativity. So she deactivated comments. And for 2 years now, people haven't been able to comment on any of her pictures. And I think that that's the right move. Don't allow your space to be a housing shelter for negativity. I'm taking a page out of her book. I think that's smart.
You got a blank space in that book.
Now that the boulder has been lifted off of our chest this week, Let's talk about this elephant in the room. So, Dante, an unfortunate shooting happened in Atlanta. It didn't make it into our episode last week. I think it happened Tuesday, correct? Where a shooter went to different locations and attacked Asian people. Some people said it wasn't racially motivated just because other people died. Either way, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that should have never happened in the first place. This episode and this podcast is all about, supporting the people that support us. And I know during the summer, there were so many of my Asian friends that were right with me in the fight against, systemic injustice. So the same way that they supported me is the same way that I'm going to support them in their time of need. And my heart goes out to the Asian community and everybody that was affected by that terrible killing by that coward that decided to take lives for no reason. I don't understand it.
Well, I think it goes without saying, and, I feel comfortable speaking for you on here that, our thoughts, our prayers, everything goes out to our AAPI brothers and sisters. And like I said on here on the Black Like Me episode, I know I keep referencing that. I think it's the best work that we've done together so far. That
interesting.
You need to stand for the people who stood for you when they had no reason to. I read that quote from a Holocaust survivor about, first they came for X people, then they came for Y people, and I didn't stand up for them. I didn't stand up for them. And when they came for me, nobody was left to stand up for me. Two things I pride myself on in this life is being able to stand up for what's right and stand up for marginalized people. So I don't care what your background is. If you're a marginalized person, I have to stand for you because there are people who stood for me before I even knew what it meant. Injustice to our Asian American Pacific Islander community is not right. We're not only on this podcast taking up black issues or what people might consider black issues. No, injustice anywhere is something that we stand against. So my heart goes out to those people affected by it and the people hurting by it and the people that are scared for themselves or scared for their grandparents walking down the street because they might get attacked by somebody. It might be a racially motivated attack like you saw in Oakland over the weekend where a 74-year-old lady was punched in her face, but she ended up beating the guy's ass. So good for her, but it's wrong. It needs to stop and hopefully something can be done.
Yeah, I think that we have to stand for each other. I think that that's the biggest thing that we can do. All of us go through our own, respective troubles in our own community. But I think as a collective, we're both harmed by representations in the media and we're harmed by the ways in which the system takes advantage of us and harms us. And I think with this situation, it's just interesting how, I don't know if it was the police chief that came out in the press conference and was like, oh, this is not racially motivated and this guy was having a bad day.
The suspect did take responsibility for the shootings. He said that early on once we began the interviews with him. He claims that these, and as the chief said, this is still early, but he does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate. And he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
How many times when it's a person that's black or a person who's not white, whenever they commit an atrocity, the police chief comes out and says, oh, this guy was having a bad day. People have bad days all the time. I've never wanted to kill multiple people because I'm having a bad day. I love how people try and baby these monsters, these killers. They're not babies. Stop coddling murderers. I wasn't surprised at the end of the day. I know how the media likes to spin things when it's their people that they're trying to protect. Oh, he's having a bad day. Oh, he had a sex fetish or something and he just couldn't take it anymore. Why is that an excuse to defend what he did? And to anybody saying that it's not racially motivated, just because other people were in the line of fire and they got killed as well, doesn't mean that at the bottom line, his intent was to kill as many Asian people as possible. So let's get that right first.
All right, I have to jump in here because about what you just said that, hey, just because other people were senselessly murdered of different backgrounds, that means it wasn't, the people are saying that means it wasn't racially motivated. That is the perfect other side's argument that ignorant people like to use. Like, well, there were poor white people during the time of slavery, and there were actually Irish slaves too. So black people didn't just go through everything. Like, listen, it's the all lives matter crowd where you would be very upset if you went to your doctor and said, hey, my arm is broken. And your doctor said, well, the bone in your leg is good and that matters too. Right. So we need to stop that. And when it comes to the media, the problem I have is that to be considered a murderer or to be considered a criminal or a thug or a terrorist, you have to be a certain skin tone. And I'm not speaking out of turn here. We all know this to be true. A black kid kills some people and he's a thug, a criminal. He needs to be punished if, and only if he was not already killed by the police when he was, being arrested. But a white kid kills some people and he was troubled. He was having a bad day. He was an outsider, a lone wolf. Some of the things he was dealing with, he was picked on at school. Like, for people of color, we are already presumed guilty. For non-people of color, they are presumed innocent, and they like to dive into the reasons why this happened. I mean, if people think, because I know we have secret listeners, right? So if people think that we're talking out of our ass here and we're just trying to make this a race thing, we're not. There's so many proof points throughout history to prove to you, but we could just go to this summer, right? So Jacob Blake in Minnesota was trying to break up a fight, shot 7 times in the back by the police. Dylan Roof went into a church and killed 9 black people, massacred them. The police brought him out in a bulletproof vest and took that man, that piece of shit, to Burger King because he said he was hungry. And we do not disparage law enforcement on this podcast because there's a lot of law enforcement out there that do their jobs the correct way. It just so happens that the bad ones get highlighted because they're the ones fucking up. In saying that, this spokesman comes out there and says, hey, this guy was having a bad day. Did anybody say that about Eric Garner when they choked him to death in New York? Anybody say about George Floyd that he might have been having a bad day? At the end of the day, cops are not a judge. They don't determine who is guilty and who loses their life. But that's a lot of times what we've been seeing here, that they arrive on the scene and they make a decision that, oh, this person has to go. That's not their job. And I know that we have police officers that listen to this podcast and they would agree with me. That's not their job to determine those things.
It's just frustrating to me. Like, these stories, it gets so old. It really does get old talking about all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, we just have to be honest about what's happening. We know that Asians have been under attack since the whole coronavirus started. I think that the rhetoric that we were hearing with what the former president was saying with calling it Kung Flu and a Chinese virus, he's giving his supporters a scapegoat, an enemy to blame for this whole virus, rather than taking accountability for his inaction and his inability to take this virus seriously. He's making Asian people the scapegoat for the virus. Knowing how crazy his supporters are, I think it's not surprising that some of his supporters are actually attacking Asian people and blaming them for the virus. How are they to blame for the virus? It doesn't make any sense. And it shows how far stupidity can go. People who are uneducated, they just listen to whatever the former president says. The insurrection at the Capitol, for example, it's just sad. And this is the importance of words. Words are very important. For anybody that says words don't matter, look at this for an example. I was listening to a podcast. It was WBUR's On Point podcast, and an Asian woman who has biracial children, she's married to a white man. She was talking about how she went to a park one time, and apparently this park, it didn't allow people to keep your animals off a leash. So a white woman came up to her and says, "You're supposed to keep your animals on a leash." And then the Asian woman was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I've never been here before." Then the white woman was like, "You should know there are signs everywhere, you stupid Oriental." That was like shocking for her because she's never experienced something like that. That was an example of people being attacked just for who they are. Dante and I were talking about situations where people are trying us, people are wanting to get a reaction out of us. So a conservative this week jumped into my DMs, sent me this link talking about how all of the victims of the shooter weren't all Asian. So because of that fact alone, it must not be racially motivated. So the person was like, "Curious to hear your thoughts on the shooter's stated motive and that Asian, white, and Hispanic folks were shot. Not sure this is obviously racially motivated." And again, we always talk about approaching things in good faith. Notice how there was no sympathy there. It was almost instantaneous wanting to defend the shooter, like a blind support of the shooter without looking at what actually happened, or at least trying to acknowledge if there was racial intent or not. Somebody like that is trying to get a rise out of me. They're trying to engage in a useless back and forth. We already know where you stand. And I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Oh, people are allowed to have different opinions. Not when it comes to situations like this. I'm calling things for what they are. This person already has a stated opinion, and I'm not going to change his mind. And he's just trying to get a rise out of me, and I didn't let that happen.
And good for you for not letting that happen. And like you said, and I always say, if you're not coming to me in good faith, then turn around. This person did not come in good faith. And, what a beautiful, privileged life that you must live, where you can sit back and look at these things. And I mean, I don't even have to give you another example. There were 6 Asian people shot. You want to say, hey, somebody else of a different color got shot. So, that negates everything and it's not racially motivated. What a beautiful blind life that you live. You've messaged before and you always state your opinions, but you're not coming in good faith. Like you don't have to message anymore. You can just go and post all the shit you want on your Parler account. And I came in here with the full intentions to read you and to drag you. But why? Like Justin said, why engage it? Why give it the air? You are reaching and looking for reasons to exonerate this person. As a criminal, when you're white, you were given the benefit of the doubt. When you're a person of color, you are doubted. I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. I will call a terrorist a terrorist. I will call a murderer a murderer. I will call an abuser an abuser. I don't give a shit what color you are. It doesn't matter. If you're guilty of a crime, you're guilty of a crime. I hope that one day, maybe this is the petty side of me. I hope that, one day if you have a sister or aunt or something like that, that she has kids with somebody who's not white and you got to reevaluate your life standing and how you feel about some things and how you feel about people of color and how they're treated. But one can only hope.
You were talking earlier about how don't engage with me anymore. And he's probably not going to engage with me anymore because this is my second time straight up ignoring his message. And also he unfollowed me. So I'm screaming. I really don't care. Like, I'm not hurt at all. I'm actually happy because it was only a matter of time before I did it first. I just don't care enough to do so. So now he can find somebody else to write his messages to and engage in useless back and forths. But I guess he realized that I'm not the one and I'm not going to give him the attention that he's seriously craving at this point.
It's getting weird.
And if y'all go on our page and you see a 1-star review, you know who it was and where it came from, and it wasn't in good faith. So we would contact to get that taken down. But,
This is why we love Dante, because he always segues, he always plugs when it's the right time. Y'all, give us a 5-star rating, or whatever rating you feel is appropriate. Let me not tell you what to rate us. If you love this show and you've always wanted to find a way to let us know, leave a review, leave a rating, leave a question. Any way you want to get involved with the show, do it. I love that, Dante.
Yeah, of course. This is a very, we like it to be a very interactive and engaging environment. And you guys do it. If the spirit moves you and you want to go tell it on the mountain, and leave us a review. Please do so. If you have something to say to us, please do so. I want to shout out some people that have been hitting me up recently about the podcast. So shout out to Sean, shout out to Kate, shout out to Ashley, because, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening and giving your thoughts, and keep it going.
We love the support, honestly. We really do. But I think I said everything that I needed to say. I think that if somebody has the intent to cause harm, they're going to find a way to do it. Whether that's with a gun, whether that's with a weapon of any sort, they're going to find a way to do it. But what I will say, when it does come to gun laws, I do feel like we should make it harder for the wrong people to have access to a gun. So if that means, background checks, if that means mental evaluations, I'm all for it, because I think that if we can mitigate that and stop that from happening and stopping the wrong person from having a gun, I think that reduces some chance of people getting harmed. And anybody that is against that, I really have to question what their motives are or what their reason is for being against stricter background checks and mental health evaluations before people are able to get a gun. Because it's easier to get a gun in this country than it is to vote. Make that make sense. Something that's our right is harder, but getting a gun is much easier. I think that we have a backwards way of thinking in this country.
What you said about it being easier to own a gun than it is to vote, for sure. And I'd say about half the places around this country, that is true. But it is also our right to bear arms. And I mean, that's just a fact. Here's why I support the right to bear arms. The original meaning of the amendment, your government comes at you crazy, you have the right to protect yourself and your family. The revolution will be televised, right? So I believe that you should be able, if you so choose, you should be able to own a firearm to protect you, protect your family, because if the man decide to snap one day and come at you, you got to be able to do what you got to do. And also, I always talk on here about somebody bringing something to your door. It's not up to, they made that decision. How you respond is your business. I always believe in protecting yourself. And especially in today's climate where there's crazy people walking around with guns. Like, I own a gun. I have a gun underneath my bed right now. Because if shit hits the fan and shit gets real out here, I got to protect me and mine. But I do think making it harder to own a gun and having mental evaluations would be a step in the right direction. But I feel like all of this talk is for naught because it's not going to happen. It just isn't.
Mm-hmm. We can hope. We can wish that it happens. We can propose legislation so it happens. But at the end of the day, we know the gun lobby is huge and it's going to be a difficult task to accomplish. But I'm of the belief that just because something is difficult doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. It's the thought that counts. I agree with you there. Effort that counts. And you should try at least to make it happen. People said that a $15 minimum wage is hard, but there's people that are actively continuing to try. And I think as long as your heart is in the right place and you know what you want to get out of the bill or out of the situation or any situation, continue to pursue that. And that applies to anything in life. But, it's just unfortunate. It's just sad talking about this. This has become like a depressing episode. I didn't mean for it to take this turn, but sometimes we have to be real on this show. And I think that's why y'all love it, because we don't shy away from the uncomfortable topics. If you guys have a different opinion, of course, that's okay. We welcome that. Send in an anonymous question and we'll read your thoughts on air and get a different perspective out there. But for this issue, I don't know, me and Dante are pretty equal on it. I think that background checks and mental evaluations are common sense, interventions to make sure that we limit the amount of violence that we're seeing in this country.
And I think the hardest part about it is there could always be that one outlier. Like in any situation, there could always be one outlier that, they're at the end of their rope and they snap no matter what color you are, right? Like it could be something that's not premeditated. It could be like, hey, it's the worst day of this person's life and they decide I'm taking some people with me. So it's so hard to figure out, hey, how do we curb gun violence? But I think that having these conversations, like you said, it's worth having the conversations. Like I didn't enjoy talking about what happened to George Floyd. I didn't enjoy just now talking about what happened in the AAPI community, but we have to talk about it, right? Like I don't find pleasure or enjoyment out of talking about it, and it sucks to talk about because it hurts to talk about because it always happens, but we have to still talk about it.
It's necessary. It's necessary. It's like those uncomfortable conversations that we tell y'all to have with people in your lives. Nobody said it's easy, but it's necessary. It has to be done if you want to see change. So as long as we continue to do that, we can put our thoughts and our minds in the right place and hope for a brighter future. That's my positive mindset with this situation. So that's that. But I guess this is a more lighthearted situation. So this is a story that Dante wrote down. So Cardi B and Candace Owens, apparently they've been engaged in a feud. I guess Candace Owens will sometimes come at Cardi B sideways. Cardi B will respond. Candace will get the reaction that she wants out of Cardi B. I feel like Cardi B is one of those people that if you come at her, she'll respond. I don't get it. Protect your peace. You're rich. You're famous. You don't need any validation from anyone. Why does it matter what other people think? Obviously, that's not how Cardi B chooses to see the world. So apparently, her Grammy performance obviously was racy. It got a lot of, opinions, a lot of moms calling in and saying this is inappropriate. What am I going to do about my son and my daughter watching this? This is not right. It shouldn't be on TV. And Candace Owens was basically saying in a tweet that Cardi B is not being a good role model by giving a performance like that and it being broadcast on TV.
They're learning that they should aspire to people like Cardi B. You see that fundamentally we are seeing the destruction of American values, American principles. And it's terrifying. I think parents should be terrified that this is the direction that our society is heading towards. And again, we are weakening America. That's really what we should be talking about. This is a weakening of American society. We are setting the stage and it feels like we are looking at corrosion, like we are about to see the end of an empire. America cannot survive. It cannot be sustained under these sorts of values and principles.
Yeah, Candace Owens was she had a Fox News spot and she was, saying that this is the degradation of America, and it's not good what's happening right now. We're celebrating perversity in America. Cardi B quote tweeted and tweeted out the video and said, stream up, WAP, remember grown parents can only monitor what your kids watch, no one else. And she kept calling Candace Owens Candy, which I think is hilarious. But she made a very good point, to the people that wrote in and complained about Shakira and J-Lo at the Super Bowl, or complained about Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B at the Grammys. Why are you letting your kids watch it? You can control what they watch. This is about parenting. You're being lazy. And then, so you complain about not having, that you're not able to make decisions, that people don't give you a choice or give you an option, but you want that broadcast company to say, nope, we can't air this. They're making a decision for you because you're not willing to have a conversation with your kid or tell your kid that they can't watch it or explain to them what's going on. That's lazy parenting. You have nobody to blame but yourself, in my opinion.
I really don't understand the idea of people allowing celebrities to be their kids' role models. Celebrities are not role models. Your kids should be worshiping, or not even worshiping. Your kids should be looking up to you as a parent, looking up to their community leaders. They should not be looking up to celebrities to emulate. And I think that's a big problem in this country, where people don't have the right priorities. They look at people like Cardi B, they look at Megan Thee Stallion, and all these people say, oh, I want to be just like them. I want to have their money. But you shouldn't want to be them. I don't think that's a good thing. This idea of celebrities even having to be a role model is problematic, because nobody's asking for that. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I believe that just because you have a big platform and just because you have the ability to reach a lot of people, that doesn't automatically make you a role model. If I ever got famous, I would definitely say that, hey, you might like the things that I do, you might want your son or daughter to look up to me in some way, but I am not their role model. I'm just a public figure. If there's good things that I've done and you want to emulate that, go for it. But worshiping me as a person or holding me to be your role model, I don't think that's fair to you, and I don't think that's fair to me. Look around. Celebrities make mistakes all the time. They're human. Humans make mistakes. If I make a mistake, I don't want somebody to be like, oh man, Justin was my role model and he let me down. I don't want to be your role model. And me not wanting to be a role model doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. I understand that I'm human and I'm capable of making mistakes, and I don't want that to be held on me when I didn't ask to be put in that position. And I think a lot of people should look at it that way. Celebrities are not your role models. Your kids should not be listening to WAP. If you feel like that Grammy performance was inappropriate, they shouldn't be watching that in the first place. As a parent, why are you even allowing that to be broadcast in your house? Y'all always speak about censorship and y'all don't want censorship, but it seems like y'all want censorship. I think that we have the freedom of choice, and you have the freedom to teach your kids the right thing to do. And you can limit and control what they're watching. So if you're exposing your kids to WAP and Cardi B, that's not a reflection of Cardi B. That's a reflection of you as a parent.
Basically, if I can paraphrase, Justin just said, fuck them kids. It's like, nah.
Basically,
like, nah.
Right?
But no, I mean, like you said, be a parent. That's all it comes down to. You can control their universe. Doing a callback to earlier in the episode, you can control their universe. You don't want your kid exposed to it? Do your job and parent and make sure they're not exposed to it. And then also, like Justin said, celebrities are not meant to be your role models. You know what I always say about false prophets and everything like that. So if that's a path you want to go down, then so be it. But you talk about being canceled and you don't want to be censored and canceled, but you want to censor Cardi B and cancel her because she doesn't fit with your narrative, right? The hypocrisy, and there's no shame in the hypocrisy. That's what gets me about it. Like, you'll do it with a straight face, and that's the craziest part about that side to me. I can't stand it.
It's annoying. That's why I really don't let stuff like this get to me, especially when it comes to Candace Owens. There's a reason why Dante and I don't bring up Candace Owens on this show, because Candace Owens is a grifter. People say that in the past she used to be a liberal or a Democrat, and then she pivoted and started seeing that it was profitable to be a black conservative that speaks down on the black community. So she's found her lane, and I guess it's profitable for her. So she's been just going with that and doing that. I really don't believe that she believes in most of the things she says. I think that she is a troll. She says ridiculous things so that it can get attention, so that she can get attention, so that she can make people mad, and people having trigger fingers and typing her comments and responses only adds fuel to what she's trying to do. So by limiting how much I talk about her on this show, I'm not giving her the reaction that she wants. And I guess we're kind of like focusing in on a theme on this episode. Don't give it the energy.
I hope one day that she has her nigga moment or her nigga wake up call, because you can go and say all that stuff about the black community and you could be this beacon of hope and this talking point for people like the guy who wrote into us like, well, see, this black person says that you black people are doing X, Y, and Z. That's great. I good for you, Candy. I'm glad it's working out well for you. But just wait until you're caught in the wrong situation. You get pulled over by some cop that don't know you, or you walk into some store and they don't know you, and you get treated like every other black person, and you're going to have a real internal crisis about what the fuck you've done with your life and why you have sold out the way you have.
Hey, but that's not our problem. That's her problem. So she's going to deal with that. I mean, I have nothing to say to that, to be honest. I think it's time. Let's talk about this Kylie Jenner situation, Dante. Do you want to lead this story?
Yes, I can lead the story, Justin, about Kylie Jenner. So, y'all's favorite, America's First Family.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So, Kylie Jenner put a story on her Instagram promoting a GoFundMe for Samuel Rauda, who is a makeup artist who recently underwent major surgery. He used to be a makeup artist for Kylie, but he isn't anymore. The GoFundMe was set for $11,000, and at the time that she posted on her story, it raised $5,000, and Kylie decided to donate $6,000 to bridge the gap there. From what I'm seeing here is that the surgery cost upwards of $60,000, right? This got people talking and giving her a lot of flack, saying, you make $19,000 an hour. Why are you out here asking other broke people to donate towards this man's surgery when you can just cover it? It got a lot of discussion started about the healthcare system. A lot of discussion started about Kylie Jenner. A lot of discussion started about GoFundMe. So I'll park right there, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on what she did and how she handled it.
Well, there's a lot to this story, actually, like Dante said. And I think that what I hate about social media is how quick misinformation can spread. I heard people saying that this person is Kylie Jenner's friend, which is not true. I heard people saying that it's always been a $60,000 goal, which is also not true. So I think that when it comes to stories like this, people are so quick to take a side, take a position without letting all the facts bear out. And I don't think that's fair. You might have an opinion about Kylie Jenner. You might have an opinion about rich people in general. But I think that we always have to be fair regardless of whatever you feel about a certain person or celebrity. And that's the position that I'm taking with this story as well. So I'm glad that Dante gave y'all all the information for the story, because he basically filled in the gaps with all the information that was being spread falsely, I guess. So Kylie Jenner did come forward after she's been getting all the scrutiny, and she said, I feel that it's very important for me to clear this false narrative that I've asked fans for money and I'm not paying for my makeup artist's medical bills. Sam isn't my makeup artist, and unfortunately, we don't have a personal relationship anymore, but I have worked with him a few years ago, and I think he's the sweetest. I saw my current makeup artist and friend Ariel post about Sam's accident and his family's GoFundMe, and I called Ariel immediately to see what happened to Sam. After learning in more detail about the accident, it compelled me to visit his GoFundMe, which was set at $10K. They had already raised $6,000, so I put in $5,000 to reach their original goal and thought I'd post on my stories to gain more awareness if anyone also felt compelled to share or donate. I don't know how all of this got so twisted, but his family has reached out through Ariel and are very appreciative of all the donations, prayers, and love towards Sam. She finishes her remarks by saying, anyone that knows me knows that I do things from the heart, and I try to be helpful whenever I can. Let's all stay positive and keep Sam, his family, and anyone you know who is going through a difficult time in our prayers. I hope you have a beautiful day, and let's encourage each other to help. All right. So that was a good message. I don't know if her PR person wrote that or if she wrote that. It doesn't matter. She said what she said. And celebrities or rich people aren't obligated to do anything. I say it all the time. When it comes to politics, they don't have an obligation to tell you who they're voting for. In this day and age, a lot of people feel pressured to do that, rightfully so in a way. The time that we're in now, it's not enough to keep things secret. We at least want to know what your leanings are. You don't have to tell us, oh, I'm voting for this person, this person, this person. But I feel like just as a celebrity, your fans should have an idea of your character and what you support. I don't think it's acceptable for people to guess, oh my God, is this person a Trump supporter? Is this person not a Trump supporter? They shouldn't have to guess. If you don't come out and say it, they should have a good idea about who you support. I know this is unrelated, but that's one of my gripes with Taylor Swift and how she stayed quiet about politics for so long. And then when it was expedient for her, she said, oh, I support Biden Harris, when she's already made all her money, went on her big tours and everything. And then she's trying to play both sides. I don't think that's fair. And that's why I look at her with side eye, because that's stupid. If you really are passionate about something, you are for it, even when it's unpopular or uncomfortable to take a position. I would respect you more if you did that. But when it comes to this whole argument with Kylie Jenner, if the donation thing was set at 10K and all he needed was a little bit more to reach his goal, she donated and reached the goal. So what is the issue here? The Kardashians are already so hated, and I'm not a Kardashian fan, so don't think that I'm trying to defend them. But I think that anything that they do is scrutinized, and sometimes it's not fair. And I think in this situation, it's not fair, because just because somebody is wealthy doesn't mean that they have a bigger obligation to do more just because they can. And that's what I'll say for now before I listen to what you have to say.
So I think it's the logic of give a man a fish and you can feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll be fed for the rest of his life, right? Enrique wanted us to cover this, and after doing more research on it, hearing you talk about it, hearing him talk about it, just, he made the point that, hey, if he has done makeup for Kylie Jenner, he's probably done makeup for other famous people. So if she's getting this message out there, that's networking. Like, he will get donations from other famous people. She's doing her part just by promoting it. She's like one of the most followed people on any social media platforms. And I'm pretty sure that, his argument is, I'm pretty sure those donations will get past the goal limit that was set. And I agree with that. And I agree that just because you're rich, you do not have an obligation to financially support everybody in the world that's going through a tough time. If you want to do it out the kindness of your heart, then that's great, but you aren't obligated to do so. And, that's kind of where I stand on it.
I mean, Kylie Jenner has the money to do a lot of things. And I think that if she wants to do something, if she wants to give us all 50,000, if she wants to eradicate poverty in Los Angeles or something, she has the ability to do that. I think if anybody that's in a position of power or has increased wealth wants to do something in that way, that speaks to their character. But I'm not going to look at somebody sideways just because they're not doing that. I hate when people count other people's pockets. What are you doing? How much have you donated?
Get at him, Justin. Get at him, Justin.
What's your status at the bank?
How much money have you made, Miss Fame?
I don't, honey.
What's your status at the
still
bank?
renting your house?
Stop looking at celebrities to fix the world. And that's what I hate with putting certain people on a pedestal. Oh, well, they have the money to do this. Well, what have you done? Stop looking at celebrities to eradicate world hunger and do this and do that. Because I really do feel like we can be unfair to a lot of celebrities. If they want to do good, more power to them, and that speaks to their character. But I don't think just because I have a lot of money means that I have to do good. And it's kind of a Pandora's box, to be honest. It's kind of like winning the lottery. When people find out that you're rich, then everybody, all the cockroaches come out of the corner. Well, Justin, my mom is going through this. Oh, my sister's going through this. Does this mean that I'm just the well of salvation and anybody can come to me and I'll just give them money and give them this and give them that? It's a Pandora's box, because then it's going to become a situation where it's like, well, you gave money to so-and-so. Do you not care about me? What about me and my problems? And I don't want that to happen. If you're my friend, of course I'm going to help my friend, but forcing somebody to say, oh, you have money and you're not donating, you're a bad person, that's not fair, because I can't fix the world's problems.
No, I mean, it puts people in a tough position. Like you said, now people are going to be looking at you. Hey, you donated to that, but you didn't donate to this. Do you have a problem with this cause? And it's people pocket watching you, and I don't support pocket watching. And before I've read all the details about the story, I thought that this person was her full-time makeup artist. And that's why I brought up how people were saying that this is a healthcare discussion where Walmart won't pay its employees benefits, or if you're a full-time makeup artist for Kylie Jenner, she won't pay for your healthcare. And, this conversation is going to take a way different turn. But I still did want to mention that, because I will still champion that we deserve a better healthcare system in this country, and it shouldn't be run for profit. But that's just my opinion. They might take me out for that because it's a little too radical.
I know. Too much truth on the show. We can't have that, Dante.
Never can we have that.
We can't have that. But what do you guys think? You guys that are listening right now, what do you guys think? Would you pay for the entire bill? Is that a Pandora's box? Will people come out of the corner and start asking you for stuff? It's kind of hard. That's why when people say more money, more problems, that's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. And also, this is kind of related, but Black people in general that have made it or have this idea of making it, they're really not as rich as you think that they are. Because when somebody is like the first in their family to go to college or get a higher degree or get a good job that pays them well, they're taking care of not only themselves sometimes, but also their family. They're sending money back home if they came from another country. They're helping out their parents. They're helping out their friends. So when it comes to their take-home pay and how much they're actually keeping for themselves, it's not that much because there's so many other mouths to feed.
It's much more likely to be the case that an African-American college graduate is the most successful in their family network, and therefore relatives ask them for help. And they give it. That doesn't mean that white college graduates are less charitable or less giving or anything like that. It just means that they're like others in their network.
In my family, that's the case. My dad is the oldest of 9 siblings, and whenever he got to a position where he was able to take care of everybody, he was taking care of everybody, putting my aunt through nursing school in Nigeria, helping with the house. It's a lot for one person, so it spreads yourself so thin, and sometimes you don't get a chance to appreciate what you've earned for yourself because you're too busy helping the people that you care about. So it's a slippery slope, and I'll never judge somebody for not doing something because I understand that with more money comes more problems.
And I just want to say here, I don't think it's specifically a Black thing because I've talked to people from different backgrounds, and depending on your socioeconomical standing, that's the case for a lot of people, especially people who have immigrated to this country where, hey, I have family back in my native country, my birth country, that we're taking care of, we're sending money back to. Or, my mom is still in that country, but I'm over here with my dad getting my education and he's working and we're making sure we're taking care of my mom and my siblings, things of that nature. Or you could just come from a poor background and you're the first person to graduate college and get a good job. And now people are looking at you like, oh, you're the beacon of hope. You made it. You have to give back to the people the one thing I hate, I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a ramble here, but the one thing I hate is like, remember who was there for you when you were down. We all supported you. Like we didn't let you be around drugs and shit. Like you want credit for doing the bare minimum. Like if you love somebody and you taking care of a kid, you should probably put them on the path of success and do what is in the best interest of that kid. You shouldn't be taking credit for small victories and doing the bare minimum. And it shouldn't be placed upon somebody that burden to have to feel like I have to take care of everybody now.
Nobody should ever be under that burden, and I don't think that's fair at all. To guilt trip somebody into helping you out, like who are you to tell somebody, oh, I was there for you? And that's what I hate about friendships or relationships. Whenever things go sour, the common response is always, well, I was here for you when I did this. I gave you a ride here. I did this for you. You did that for me because we're friends. That's what friends do. And now you're turning around and holding that against me. That means that you weren't really a friend. Like for all of my friends, I do good things for my friends. My friends do good things for me. I never keep a tally of, okay, they did this for me. They did this for me. I did this for them. That's stupid. And that's not really a friend if you're keeping tallies like that. Friendships and friends help each other out. That's what friends are for. That's what family is for. And if anybody ever came to me and be like, oh, Justin, I was here for you when you did that. That's great. And you should be because you were my friend and you are my friend. And for anybody that has ever done that, I feel bad because nobody should have that burden placed on them where they feel guilty if they can't help somebody or choose not to. If you're really my friend, if you're in need of something, I'm going to help you out the best way I can. But that doesn't mean that I'm automatically entitled to helping you or helping your family. It doesn't work like that.
Love and caring and understanding doesn't keep tallies. I went out to dinner with a friend of mine last week and I paid for everything. And he was like, well, why'd you do that? I was like, I mean, this is what we do. We're friends. You got it the last time, we met up and everything. Like, you don't got to worry about it. Like, I don't keep tallies with my friends. I don't care about how much I do for you and how much you do for me. Unless you're actively taking advantage of me, then we can't be friends anymore, obviously. But I'm not keeping tally or keeping score. And you shouldn't feel like you have to provide for people just because once upon a time they did something for you. You know what I used to do once upon a time? I used to shit my pants and my mom would have to change my diaper when I was a baby. I don't shit my pants no more. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And you shouldn't let somebody hold past goodwill above your head to make you feel indebted to them, because they're gaslighting you and they're putting you in a bad place.
No, it's true. It's true. It's not fair. And that's why I'll always say, if I ever got famous, I always say this as if I'm going to get famous. I'm probably not going to be famous, and that's okay, and I'm fine with that. But if I ever did get famous, you guys, I'm always going to remember the people that were friends with me when I had nothing. Y'all had no reason to be friends with me, but you still decided to be my friend anyway. No new friends for me. I'm not making any new friends because the ones that I already have are enough for me. And that's something that I really take to heart. When people do good things for me, when people are supportive of me and love me for who I am, I really do remember that and think about that. That's why it's hard, navigating friendships sometimes, because you want to make sure you're telling your friends how much you appreciate them, how much you value them. And it's hard to do that sometimes because the people that are really there for you, you don't even have to question it. There's so many friends that I have that I go months. There's a couple friends that I went a couple years without talking to. We didn't have beef or anything, but I picked up the phone one day and it was like we never stopped talking. Those are your true friendships, people that are willing to drop everything, help you in your time of need without question. Those are the people that are valuable to your life. And I'm so, grateful that I have people like that, and they'll never hold it against me and be like, well, when you were sick, I came here, I visited your mom. No, it's not like that. We're friends. We do things for each other. We love each other. And that's how it should be.
Good and solid people are very hard to come by in this world. So if you have people like that, you need to make sure that they know that they're appreciated, and you need to return and reciprocate those same feelings and energy to them, because good, solid people are very hard to come by in this life. And if you are in a, it's not funny, but if you are in a, abusive friendship, or a friendship where, you're putting in way more than you're getting back out and somebody's taking advantage of you, it's in your best interest to leave that. They are preying on you. You're a transaction to them.
Because I do feel like people don't give friendships enough chances. I really do feel that. And that's something that I'll take to the grave. I really do feel like people don't fight for their friendships enough. And I see on social media everywhere this toxic idea of, well, if they do this and they do that, cut them off and keep it moving. I think that's a toxic thing. If you care about somebody enough, you'll address the situation, talk to each other as mature adults, handle it, and hopefully move on. I think it's so negative, and I hate saying that, oh, you need to cut this person off, you need to cut this person off. And that doesn't mean that you should keep somebody around just to keep somebody around, just because you've been friends with them for a decade plus. Sometimes, friendships fade, and that's okay. But there are some friendships that are worth fighting for. And I feel like in this day and age, people are always too quick to be like, well, if you wrong me once, that's it. I've seen who you are and I'm cutting you off, and that's the end of it. That's stupid. Fight for your friendships. Fight for the people that you care about. And it might be difficult to have that initial conversation to reach out to that person. But I implore you, if you care about them, reach out. See what they say. Dante always says the worst thing that can happen when you reach out is they say no, or you get no response at all. And at the back of your mind, you can live in peace and know that I tried. Try. People don't try enough. And it bothers me so much because life is short. And I'm speaking from experience because I've been in that situation. I've been on both ends of that. And I've really learned. It's really helped me become a better person, because with every relationship or friendship, you're learning from the next one. And hopefully by the time you reach to where you want to reach, you're at a place where you're mature, you know how to handle things the right way, and you won't cut somebody off for a trivial reason. We're getting older. I know we're not that old. At least I'll speak for myself because I'm not old. But reach out if necessary. That's all I have to say for that, I guess.
Yeah, you got a lot off your chest there. I don't 100% agree with Justin. I can let y'all know that right now. Because there is a certain point that you can reach where it's time to give up and you're not getting anything out of this. And I'm not talking about, repairing friendships or relationships, or I'm talking about in general in life. If you're not getting the desired results and you know that you've given your best and you tried your best, it's okay to walk away and and learn from that lesson and say, okay, maybe I approached it the wrong way, or what did I do wrong, or how could I have been better the next time? But you don't have to waste your energy and put yourself through so much strain on your emotions and your mentals to fix something that ain't worth fixing. And yes, while I do agree that sometimes people are too quick to say, nah, well, if this person does X, Y, Z, I'm going to cut this person off and I can't be cool with them no more, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it is warranted, you know, and you said, you know, friends should be able to have those conversations to try and fix things. Some people, they don't have the fortitude to have those conversations with you. You got to let the cards lie where they fall. I've come on here before and I told y'all, hey, listen, I'm okay with cutting people off if I've gotten to a certain point, because like I said at the beginning of this episode, don't serve me mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. It has no place in my life. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay knowing that, hey, I tried my best. I approached it in good faith. It didn't turn out the way that I had hoped that it would. I'm okay. You know, fuck it. Life goes on.
It's true.
They're not the pinnacle of my life. You know, like my life does not revolve around this person. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with cutting people off and getting rid of them, because fuck it. At that point, you dead weight. I've had plenty of friends that I was, you know, very friendly with and cool with over the years that I'm not cool with no more. And like I said before, I'm not wishing ill will on you. I hope you get out of this life whatever you put into it. If that's good, then I hope good things for you. If it's bad, that's what you deserve to get. No ill will for you. At a certain point, I said before, you can't have a seat at my table. If you sitting at another table, trust me, I'm not going to go throw food at your table and, you know, try to break your table so you can't eat. But you can't come to my table and eat. You can't come to my table and sit down. It's best we operate on separate planes of existence, in my opinion.
And that's okay. And that's fine. I'm not saying that you should endure abuse. Nobody should go through that. You're right. At a certain point, you can cut things off if necessary. But I'm talking about just relationships and friendships in general. Sometimes you need to, you know, have that conversation if a friendship is worth fighting for. And it's sad because, you know, some friendships you're friends for, you know, years, decades. And when it ends, you just feel so terrible because it's like, man, you're not who I thought that you were. And I think that's the pain that hurts the most, to realize that somebody that you held so close to you turns out to not be for you at the end of the day. And I guess that's something that they have to live with. That's something that they have to learn. And it's a part of life, to be honest. You know, we live, we learn, and hopefully we grow along the way. And some people don't grow along with us. Some people are stunted and you'll continue growing and they'll stay where they are. And that's fine. That's life. Not everybody's supposed to come with you on your journey to where you're supposed to be. Some people that are wanting to take that journey with you will come along, but some people aren't there for the ride. But at the same time, we learn from that. And whatever we didn't do right, we learn. Whatever we did do right, we continue to do. So that way, whenever we're meeting more people, you know, we're a better person at the end of the day. And hopefully the friendships that we make along the way can last long, because you know that the people that you surround yourself with are truly your people.
Here's the last thing I'll say about it. It is okay, and you should not feel guilty. It's okay to grow apart. You and a person grow up and you don't have the same interest anymore, or you stop hanging out as much, and it's okay to grow apart. It's a part of life. But what I will say is that if somebody is truly a friend, if you truly care about that friendship like Justin is emphasizing, if you truly care about that person, it isn't even a meet me halfway thing. It's I will meet you where you're at as long as you're willing to meet me. And I'm not talking about geographically meeting somebody, driving to them. I'm talking about where they are as a person emotionally and mentally at that moment. I will meet you where you are because I want you to come back the other way with me, because that's what you mean to me. And if they're not willing to do that, you have your answer and you need to cut them off, get them out of your life, because they are not serving a purpose for you. They're not making you better. They're not giving you that good feeling that you had when you were friends. Obviously, if they're not willing to meet you even where they are, you're giving 80 and they're not even putting in the 20 to get to you. Fuck them. Simple as that.
It makes it that much easier to move on, honestly, because they've done the work for you, to be honest. You tried your best, and your best wasn't good enough because the other person is not willing to reciprocate. So I'm never going to hold a grudge. You made your choice. I'm fine with that. I might feel pain a little bit, but Dante always says then you'll get over it, because we've had people in our lives that we thought that, oh, we're going to be friends forever. And then when that friendship is over, it's painful. But we make new friends and we move on and we learn what didn't work from that friendship and try not to emulate that in the future relationship, because it works both ways. Sometimes I'm making the mistakes and sometimes you're making the mistakes. But at the end of the day, you know, there's really nothing that you can do. You just have to live your best life, be the best version of yourself. And that's it. That's the lesson that I've learned in life thus far, but I have a lot more life to live, a lot of lessons to learn, and I don't have the answers to everything, and that's okay. And one thing that I want y'all to understand when y'all listen to this is that I'm not perfect, and I'll never paint myself to be perfect because I know that I'm not. But I'm just going to give my, opinions. I'm going to give my experiences, and hopefully y'all can relate, because I'm sure that y'all can relate to some of the things that we're saying. And if you find it relatable, more power to you. And I appreciate that you have a perspective that you relate to, I guess.
If you are going through a situation like what Justin is talking about, here's how I want you to look at it. In a couple months, the 10-year anniversary of when I graduated high school is coming up. There's people I hung out with every single day in high school that I have not seen since we graduated. Life goes on. Not devastated about it, not losing sleep over it. There are girls I was in relationships with that I'll probably never talk to again a day in my life. And at one point in time, I couldn't imagine not talking to them every single day, not seeing them every single day. Haven't seen them in years. It's okay. Life goes on, not losing sleep over it. Every single time in any of these situations, life goes on. If somebody is not reciprocating your friendship, your emotion, the vibes you're putting out, you have people that care about you that will. And through tough times, that shows a person's character. That shows who's really about it. That shows who's really there for you, who really stands for something, who really believes in something, and who's a strong person through the tough times. Yeah. Because a lot of people will fold like a wet paper towel when shit hits the fan. And you shouldn't want those people around you.
But I love what you said, because it's true, and it is what it is. Are you going to go to your high school reunion if it happens?
We need to see what's happening with these shots first. You know what I mean? We need to see what's happening with these vaccinations first. But if we reschedule it for next year, then for sure I'm going to go, because I got to flex on people. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen,
right?
Look. It must have been hard to watch. If you tired of winning, if you hating on me, if you praying on the downfall, it's been a hell of a 15, 16 months for you, baby. Because shit's just coming up W's. It is what it is, like you said. You got anything else, or can I take us out of here?
You can take us out. I feel like we really went in a direction that was great. We weren't planning to talk about this, but I think that this conversation was great. Before we leave, I always want to thank you guys for listening to the show. It really does mean a lot. This is fun. As much as it is a great conversation, it's therapy for me, because I get to rant, and when me and Dante are done, I get to sigh a deep sigh of relief. And hopefully y'all are getting your money's worth with what we're spewing on this episode and on every episode. So for whatever reason that you choose to listen, thank you so much, and continue to support, because as long as y'all continue listening, we'll continue, doing this podcast for you guys.
Amen to that. Couldn't have said any better myself. We appreciate you. We care about you. We thank you so much for engaging and for listening. And, a lot of people tell me, hey, I find myself talking back to your podcast and having a conversation with you guys. I love it. Honestly, if you want people that's not embarrassed by things, please record yourself having a conversation, because I would love to hear it in the context of what was really happening. But regardless of all that, we are polar opposites. Thank you for listening, for downloading, for subscribing. What you can do for us is download, subscribe, tell your friends to tell friends about, listen to our episodes. You like one episode, go back, listen to the one before it, because you might like that one too. We always reference it. We always bring things full circle on here. So follow us on IG. Leave an anonymous question. Leave a rating and review. Thank you so much for supporting us. That's all I got to say. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Bye, guys.